Good morning and welcome to Unlocking Freedom in Nature and Art. So excited that you guys are here today. And I'm excited because I have a special guest. I have Åsa on. And Åsa, I'm not going to even try pronouncing your whole name. So I will let you come
I
on.
can. It's Åsa. The A with the round thing is an O in Swedish. So it's only in Sweden, so I don't blame you.
Åsa.
So it's Åsa and Deleau, French, and Wiklund. So all the languages that you don't want to pronounce. But people call me Oz usually
Oz?
instead of Åsa. Yeah, so that works too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually a beautiful name. But I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a little bit more into what Åsa does down the road here. But I invited her, of course, to hear her journey of how she got to where she is today. So, Åsa, I want you to tell everyone where you're coming from. And then let's go back into time to where you grew up grew up as a young
Okay.
girl. And because it's always kind of fun to see how it ties in from your earlier years to today.
Okay, way back.
Yes, way back.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Should I start or?
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it. We're
I don't know.
live.
My name is Åsa and I'm a photographer living in Sweden. And I'm half French, half Swedish. My father is French, but I mostly grew up in Stockholm. I went to a French school, so I do speak French, but I'm kind of mostly Swedish otherwise. And I don't know where to start. I've always been drawing and creating. My father's an artist, so there's always material at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, our living room was his studio for a while. So he had paper on the floors, and we could paint on the walls and do whatever. A very creative upbringing sort of thing there. So he just encouraged everything that had to do with drawing and creativity.
So what kind of artist?
He paints and makes sculpture. Right now, he makes mostly collages and stuff. And he has a frame shop in Stockholm as well.
Oh,
That he
fun.
still keeps. He's retired, but he still has his shop to bring in a little bit extra. Yeah. On
So
the
did
side.
you grow up in Stockholm then?
Yeah, I did. I've lived 3 times in France as well. When I was 6, 11, and 18, I lived a year each time. And in France, I actually lived in a very small village. So we had a goat even, and we lived there was 40 people in the village. My son usually reminds me that I grew up in the 1900s with a goat, not to feel old or anything.
But you know what? It's like I still remember growing up on my grandparents' places, well, growing up around them, but we had farms and stuff. And I remember the sheep this time of year, the baby lambing seasons, and milking the cows and the chickens. And today I still have chickens.
Yeah, that's nice. I have 2
It's-
cats. I live in the capital, so I can't have a goat anymore. But she was really nice. It was a brown goat, and she used to take walks with us. She walked if
So
she
she
stepped.
was more like a puppy dog goat.
Yeah, she was actually. She was really easy to walk with, and she always went a bit ahead of us. And she waited if he didn't catch up, and she turned around, was like, "Come on, we go." But she never ran away or anything. She just had her without a leash or anything. She was really sweet.
So
And we
funny.
left her in a farm when we left. So my sister teachers had some goats and things, so we left her with them when we left. But she was nice, and we milked her mornings. We had fresh goat milk with the cocoa. My stepmom hated it, but we thought it was nice.
No, that is so sweet, and it's amazing how attached you get. It's kind of like my granddaughter has got this horse, which is a gypsy, and gypsies are not small. They're like smaller, similar to a Clydesdale horse, okay? And it follows her around like a little puppy dog, always has, And it's
They're
so
so
funny.
nice. I
But it's
always
like,
loved animals, all sorts. It's yeah.
it's
I've run a studio in Stockholm for over 20 years, photographing kids and weddings and things like that. But my favorite was when they brought their pets. So it was like baby dogs, like, oh, a dog. It's like, it's so sweet. And I had to stop myself from petting it too much. And kittens are the best.
Oh,
So babies are cute too, but I mean, it's a kitten. So yeah,
yeah, pets are funny. Animals are funny just to sit
they are.
around and watch, right?
And you never know
You
what's going to happen.
you
It's really
learn a
fun.
lot from them because sometimes you might think of them this way, but it's like when you sit there and watch them, I've watched the chipmunks share food
Mhm.
with each other,
Oh, right.
or just those just little tiny little things that you're just like, always when I don't have a camera,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet or so cute. Or
Yeah.
eagles are too fast for you and I. It's like, I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know if
You
you've
have
ever
eagles
watched
there as
the
well.
eagles fly down and like catch the fish. And
Wow.
trying to catch the eagle doing that is so, so hard.
I know. I'm so amazed by nature photographers who can, and they stay in one spot and they just wait and wait and wait for that exact moment. I'm kind of the opposite. When I photograph, I want something to happen. I kind of set a scene and then mostly photographing kids because they move a lot too. But you set a scene and then you let the kids like be themselves and something happens and you catch it. So I really love when it's movement and kind of action. So I kind of like to set my light and do everything and then just let everything happen and capture like their expressions and things like that. So I really love doing that.
Yeah,
Really fun.
I totally get that because usually when I take photos of people, don't even want them to realize I'm taking their
Yeah.
photos because you capture them in such wonderful memories and their facial expressions aren't faked and they just look wonderful.
Yeah, I
So
know.
back to your story here.
Yes.
So, where did you go to? What did you for growing up in? Did you grow up in high school? You were doing artwork with your
Yes.
dad. So, what kind of art did you lean towards?
I
Drawings,
was
painting?
mostly drawing, actually. I just have a pencil and some colors. I did try like all the paints and everything because my dad had them, but mostly like just drawing black and white pictures a lot and a lot of animals dressed in pretty dresses and things like that. And I always loved dresses. And that's why I wanted to become a wedding photographer because then I can like work with dresses and like nice environments. And yeah, those pretty and nice moments. I always like that. But I started taking photos when I was about 13. 13, I can't speak. And then I photographed my friends mostly
Oh
and
yeah,
dressing them up as zombies or painting
that's
like
so
doing like weird wake ups and taking photos. And yeah, luckily I was a drama student in high school, so my friends were also drama students, so kind of easy to get them like to participate in all my ideas that
well. They
I
were
had.
probably excited
So
too.
yeah, so they were only like saying that I was always in their face with the camera, like, can you ever like put that thing down? But then they always wanted copies, so it was kind of a two-way thing. Um, so it's kind of fun. But then I wanted to become a teacher actually when I was 14, because I didn't think that artist or photographer was a real job because my father's friends were all like struggling artists and yeah, no one was making it. So I thought if I'm a teacher, I'm gonna have the summer breaks and I can photograph weddings in the summer and everything. So I actually did 2 years of English and psychology at uni and when I was 20. And then I got into a photo school that was kind of hard to get into. So I thought like, oh, it's just a year or two. I can do that just for fun. And then I'll go back to the teaching stuff. So 20 years later, I was still a photographer. I kind of just rolled on. It was kind of fun and it worked and I started getting clients and yeah, it just rolled on. And yeah, I just closed my studio 2 years ago, actually. And I'm now back in teacher school to
Oh yeah.
yeah, to actually have a job again. So, but I do love it, and I do love languages and everything like that as well. So I'm fine with it. But I do love that AI can do. I can do so much like from home without having my studio, but I can still use my old images and have them as references, and I can use all the knowledge I have about light and composition, and everything, and I do put that into my AI renderings. But it's really fun, and I'm like more creative than ever with this, which is crazy because I've always created, but now it's like on speed or something. I don't know how to.
Oh, I know. I get. I know what you're saying. So
Yeah.
let's go back. So when you were in your 20s, you were doing your photography. What was like one of the most interesting photo shoots you probably did?
Oh my God. I've done about 500 a year for 20 years, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint one.
Give us a couple different ones.
Oh, I know this is hard to get. Usually, it's weddings are fun because you never know exactly. You think it's the same all the time. There's always something that happens. But oh God, it's so hard to find an example just pinpointing like this.
So
Usually, I photographed plays, which I thought was very fun. And I had a friend who set up plays and I usually did their posters and everything like that. And that I enjoy very, very much because working with actors and they are not as self-conscious when you take the photos. So you can just shoot without them being bothered by you. And that's something I really loved doing. And I photographed a few like celebrities also in Sweden, like in the studio or for things they did. And the difference was that they were so used to it. So the camera wasn't there. So I could still control everything and guide it, but they weren't self-conscious and freezing. And as the same as with kids, they don't think either like, oh, is my nose going to look big in this angle? Or what if like, no, don't touch my chins. It's like, and it's really fun working with people who don't think too much about what they look like.
So did you watch out for them, make sure that nothing was like on their face, in their
Oh,
teeth?
right, all the
Because
time. I'm so
I've
picky.
seen the photographers that don't pay
I
attention to
know.
those, and you're like looking at them, you're like,
No. I mean, to like a hair straw that's wrong or everything. So it's just like, oh, that's perfect. Just let me move that little thing or move that little thing. Worst case, if you miss it, you take it in Photoshop because sometimes you have a moment, especially with kids, something happens and you see that something is a little bit off, but the smile is terrific and they're really happy. Then I don't go interrupting just because to break the mood. Then I just think, okay, I'll have to fix it later. But all the things I can fix before I do. Less time in Photoshop and, easier to work. But I'm really into details. When I send in photos for competitions, I can sit like 8 hours with a photo just nitpicking on like
right. And
just
then right
interesting.
there was a description because a lot of times people are like, oh, you can just change the photo. And they think it takes like 2 seconds.
No.
You just said 8 hours.
Yeah, on one image sometimes. I think that's the maximum I spent, but it's really when you really go into detail. So I won Photographer of the Year in Sweden with some of those images that I worked really hard on because um, I'm a judge too. And since I actually took the judge like courses and did everything, you start seeing everything wrong with your own images as well. So it's really hard to compete once you know everything that you look at because it's like, oh no, that's not going to pass. It's just going to get those points. It's no use sending it. Or you can like work on it forever and trying to get like to the higher levels. But it's really fun and really it teaches you a lot as well to really look at your images like from a
It
different
does.
eye.
Well, it's kind of like, and to be honest, one of the things I do for even like my art is I
Mhm.
photograph it during the process so I can see what's wrong.
Yeah. And you have to do
Because
that in, oh, sorry.
it's like having a second set of eyes, right?
Yes.
And
And
go
that's
ahead.
very important when you work in a photo in Photoshop as well, because especially if there are a few, a bit of time, you have to go back and look at the original and see like what did you change? Because sometimes you do too much after an eye only start. It depends. Is it supposed to look like the person or is it your own image? Because if it's a photographer or a client, you still want them to recognize themselves. And if you've done too much, you're not going to see. I mean, yeah, you still have to see that it's the person, and you have some things that people can call flaws that are just something that's really nice and belongs to you. So I never remove anything that's permanent. Sometimes you have a really big scar in your face, but you can soften it a little bit so it doesn't like pop out from the studio light. But usually I don't like touching like scars, or if you have like I don't know what you call them, little brown things that you have.
Little moles and stuff.
Yeah, moles and stuff.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of like,
that's part of your personality, so you shouldn't remove them.
well, and one of the things I was telling people, because I used to models, and
Yeah.
I'm like actually probably one of those clients that just you'll be like, oh, please stay away. When I was modeling and doing that all the time when I was younger, I wasn't as picky because I had such awesome photographers. But if
Yeah.
a stranger took my photo, I
Yeah.
hated it because they didn't, what people don't realize, the light can make you either look
Mhm.
older or younger, make
Yes.
you look paler than you really are. It can bring out unnatural things in you. And so many people have this misconcept that, oh, the camera sees you just as you are. It doesn't always,
No,
you
no, the
know?
light is so important. And that was one of the main things, like knowing how to set the light for different people. And if you know how to set the light and do it properly, you usually don't need to nitpick with the little small things, because you can either enhance features or you can soften them. And depending on the angle of the person as well, sometimes it's just a little twist, like turn like this, up a little bit, turn like that way. Or, and we always have, we're not perfectly symmetrical. There's like three people in the world who are kind of, and you
Right.
always have a side that's more photogenic, if you say, not better, but more photogenic. And it makes like such a difference. And looking like, okay, look this way, now look that way. Okay, I prefer this way. And then the light should come from here. And then you move things around. So there's always like a lot of setting. And after a few years, you get to see the light. It's not like I have to turn a lot. It's like I know about like, okay, I'm moving the light a little bit this way, and then it's gonna work.
But
Um,
you're the
but
pro. So I always tell those that don't know how to take photos, take 100 photos.
yeah, exactly. Maybe one's gonna be fine. Not.
So you'll find one out there, but like, yeah. And I remember that from modeling, they'd like,
Yeah.
okay, when you're moving, it's just so
Mm.
slight because it's that perfect angle.
Yeah. And it makes such a difference. It can be like just a millimeter. And that's the classical when you ask someone who's not used to taking photograph, like models. It's like, okay, you're like this. Okay, turn your head a little bit. And they're like, nope, that's not a little bit. That's like all the way back. So it's like, I was thinking like 2 millimeters that way, and it's gonna be like perfect. And worst case, if you see that they have difficulties moving, then you just, okay, I'll just move my lights in myself instead. It's fine. So either I have to move or they have to move. It's always easier to make them move, but I can always like adapt as well. And if you're outdoors, it's much easier because then you can just turn around the person and see where the light comes from, and yeah, find something. Shadow is
Yeah,
always nice outside. You don't think about it, but it's always better to put someone in the shadows and it's bright around them than having sunlight and closing their eyes and having like strong shadows on your face. So if it's really sunny day, like stand in the shadow and it's gonna be like much better
yeah, it's an
every time.
awesome tip. Well, it's kind of like people are like, gosh, your photos turned out great. Well, I had just put makeup on. I
Yeah,
was completely hydrated, right? And I was outside in the mountains.
yeah,
Wow, so it's like
yeah.
because it's what goes into your body too to help.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
helps the photographer. It's what you're wearing. And there's just like you said, just like those few little tricks. And
Hmm.
then you can play around later and put that background in put your
Yeah.
picture in different backgrounds, right?
Usually I did. I actually had like real backdrops. I had over 200 backdrops in my studio, so I can actually switch them for real. So if you were taking the photos, especially the kids, they could actually feel the room. I kind of built little scenes and they could like really be in the moment. And I had real costumes that were like super expensive. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had dressed and sewn up and pirate costumes and everything that looked really, really nice. And when you are in a nice costume or a really nice like princess dress and you feel the material and everything, they turn into those. It's like yeah, and it's not fake. It's not like I'll fix the dress later. Like I had really, really nice clothing and backdrops, and I had a real pirate chest with money in it and everything. So they could really like play and act in the scene, and then just had to capture like their expressions. And I really love that. And I use that so much in my AI pictures now, like remembering everything and the feeling and the mood. And I put so much in there as well.
Your
Uh,
studio sounds like it was incredible.
yeah, I'll send you
I
pictures.
love the fact that you took the time to try to bring the best out of each individual,
Oh yes, so much
whether it
time.
was a
Yes.
child or adult, or like you
Yeah.
said, or if you're even doing a wedding. I'm just, I can tell you were the photographer that took the time.
Yes, always. Time is very important. And usually the first half hour you can't do anything like really good because, it's a new place, especially with kids. They have to get to know you and you have to first of all like get to their levels. When you say hi, you don't say hi like from above. You actually go down to the floor and like eye and say hi in a proper way. I usually dressed with really colorful clothes and maybe Hello Kitty socks and like something like that, so the kids can see, okay, she's not that dangerous. This is gonna be fine. And I never say like, go take photos. Like, okay, now we're gonna down and play, and let's see if we have any toys, or do you want to dress up at something? And you really, yeah, if you turn it into a game, it's not that hard to get the kids going.
Well, and get the kids
So,
relaxed, then the parents are
yeah,
relaxed.
exactly. Or worst case, you can always like tell the parents to get some coffee and just not be in the way. So
Hey, I've
depending on how
done
big
that
they
with,
are, the really small kids have to have their parents close, but like over 5, it's like, go take coffee. We'll just have fun over here and don't mind
well,
us.
it's, you know, and
So
I've noticed the same when I've taught art lessons, even
yeah,
after I was like, go do something different. Leave the kids here with me and we'll be just fine. And the kids relax immediately. It's almost
yeah,
like kids are afraid they're going to make a mistake
yeah.
at times. And then you have the kids that don't, and they actually behave better when the parents aren't there.
I know mine are like that. It's like I don't recognize them like with people that they're so well behaved. It's like, really? I don't know if those kids those are. But I was really happy that they actually behaved at other people's places. Like parents telling me if the sleepover was like, oh, then they took the dishes away and they did like, they know how to do that? Really? It's like, that's really nice. I have to get that from home as well. So, but apparently they're very well behaved, not at home. So I'm happy I've done my job. It's like,
That's
um,
right.
I just have to bring it home as well.
That's so
I have
funny.
big kids for you don't know. I have twins that are 14, 2 boys. So much easier now as well. It's like they were really
Well, with
active
twins,
before.
yes.
Yeah, and very active. Yeah. I know people say that about older kids, and in the studio, people always say like, "Oh, you can't photograph my kids because they move." It's like, I know kids move. It's like their job to move and discover things and play and
If they're
everything.
not
It's like,
moving, that's when you should be worried.
yeah, exactly. I actually had one of the, oh, remembering, I had once 2 little girls. They were so quiet. It's like they like sat down in one dress and then they smiled a little bit and then we changed clothes and they sat and they smiled. It's like, are they on drugs or something? Because this is like, shouldn't they like try to like run around and look at something? They were like 4 and 6 and they were so like super well behaved. And when they left, the mother apologized to me and said, I'm so sorry that my kids were such a hassle. I was like, they didn't breathe. I mean, is this a hassle? What do you do with them? That's like, this is not actually
That's
kids. It's like
that's
adults being kind of scared of doing something. So they seemed fine. This was like not calling social services, but almost. It's like they're too nice. This isn't happening. And the mother excusing herself was like really like they didn't even break anything. I mean, I don't know what you mean.
Sounds like she's
It's
so used
so
to apologizing for anything, for
yeah, it must be
everything.
because they were like such sweet little girls and really like barely moving.
And then yeah, I hear the horror stories of people, it's like I remember doing a birthday party for a friend's daughter, and some of the kids, the girls there, they were like on the tables jumping, and it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, you're not doing that under my watch.
That's mostly what it happens. Like
you
like
know.
he was like kids seeing, and I had so many toys and things to do. So I just told the parents when they come because usually they look scared because I had so many things. I said they are allowed to touch anything they can reach. If it's something that can get like broken that I care about, I've put it higher up. It's like I've thought about this. So your only rule is to watch them so they don't get hurt, but they can touch anything they can reach. So don't worry, just let them go in and play. It's fine. It's like there's a lot of stuff, but I'm more worried about the kid getting hurt than them actually touching something. And that usually make the parents relax a little bit more to not be afraid to let them in. And then just give
Well,
the dad some coffee and he stays away and it's fine. No.
yeah. Uh,
Uh,
so, what were some of the challenges you had to deal with when you were doing your photography? You have one or two challenges?
yeah, mostly working too much. Actually, I worked, this is hard to confess, but I worked about 70 or 80 hours a week for 15 years while the kids were small. And I tried to like do everything and I couldn't say no to anybody. And I like spent so much time on every client. I was really like nitpicky. I was like 100% satisfied with customers, but I kind of was killing myself. So actually COVID helped me. I went to a shrink after and he told me that if I had continued like that for a year, I would have had a heart attack. So COVID actually, because the day COVID hit in Sweden, it's not ideal photographing families in COVID times because you couldn't like meet people. Uh, so actually, usually I was booked like 6 months in advance, and suddenly in one day I got like 50 emails with people canceling and like cleared the entire schedule. That was scary, and I had just changed studios, so I had two rents at the time. So I had what is it in dollars, like $5,000 or $6,000 in like rent due every month, and no clients for a couple of months. That was really hard, but it's yeah, it
So
was
it
tough,
was
but
a
it's
God.
tough.
So in a way, it was a God thing, even though it's
Yeah,
like, I know I had like 10 clients lined up. I had a year, 2 years worth of
yeah,
work lined up
yeah.
steady. And that when COVID hit, it was like, boom.
It just vanished. So it was good because it made me like take the time to I actually burnt out at that time because my mom got cancer. That was like the final drop. I couldn't take it anymore. But it was so good because I didn't have any clients anyway, so I might as well, take the time to spend time with my kids and like redefine my life a little bit. So that's actually like 2 years later that I decided I can't continue doing this. I've started this like a monster, and people expected me to be hyper creative every time. I had so many clients coming back to me, which was really fun, like meeting the kids year after year. But every time they came, they expected me to do something fantastic. And it's really hard to do something fantastic every day, depending on the mood and everything. And I love it that I'm very creative, but sometimes you're just like so tired, and they're like, oh, just I trust you, like do something amazing. It's like, yay, I'm just gonna think for 5 minutes and then like let's do something. So I usually found something, but it got harder and harder to like I raised the expectations like every year, doing it better and better, and suddenly it became this thing that was, yeah, I couldn't do it on my own anymore.
It was too much.
It
And
was
the
too much.
learning to say no is the
Yeah.
hardest thing. I used to do so much volunteer work. Like
Mm.
at one time, I was like volunteering 45 hours a week,
Yeah.
not counting being a mom and doing my own work
Uh,
business, you know. I was like, and I finally got the courage to say no. But
uh,
it, like you said, I enjoyed it though. I
yeah.
enjoyed
No, I
helping
didn't. I
others, and
loved
you do
meeting
it.
clients.
But then it's like
Yeah.
you realize how burnout you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Like remembering your name and stuff. No, that's not necessary. Um, no, but it was really fun. But what I love now is that I can actually be creative, like just for myself and create just for myself. And then I do some work for clients, but I mostly create for my own sake while I study. And it's really, really fun to just, yeah, not having the pressure on you like that. I really love it.
Because it does give, it adds more pressure than we
Yeah.
realize. Because especially for some people, but I can tell you're like me, you're detail oriented and you
Hmm.
want to do the best no matter who. You over
Yeah.
deliver. And so when you're doing that over delivery, you're either going without, taking that time away from your precious time from yourself, because as a mom, you're trying to give 100% there,
Hmm.
and as a wife, and it's pretty soon you're giving like 300%, but there's nothing left for you.
Yeah. That was really because I did spend time with my kids. Sounds like I didn't, but I kind of made it up by not sleeping. So I was with them like from they came home from school, and then I was with them, and when they fell asleep, I started working again in front of computers. So usually I was up until like 3, 4 in the morning to finish my editing to be able to be with the kids when they were awake. So I kind of sacrificed my sleep and not the kids. So that's good. My kids actually don't remember that I wasn't there. It's just like so I'm kind of happy about that. But I was really, really tired. It's like
Oh,
really
you were doing
tired.
stuff while they were asleep.
So
So I want to say hi
yeah.
to Alan and to Forrest and to everyone else who is watching. If you have any other questions, please ask. And
Yes.
we can't always see everybody that's watching until after the show for some
Hmm.
reason, but we will answer your questions later as well. So,
Yes, absolutely. And you can ask
so
questions in the group as well, and I'll go in.
yeah, ask away. How do these different images help? So let's go to where you are now.
Hmm.
So we kind of know your mom, you have two kids that are teenagers, and you grew up with the art. And
Yeah.
so because that's what helps you, tells me you're a very creative person. And photography is an art.
Mm.
So, and people forget that.
I know.
So when you're out, how does AI help? Let's go. How does images shape imagination? That was one of our things we were going to discuss.
Yeah. AI helps you kind of do whatever you want. I mean, I can photograph myself with a baby lion in a mountain top, or you can like be anywhere with everything you want to wear, or there's like no limit. It's like you had $1 million budget for a photo shoot and you can just go for it. And you have trained animals and you can have a dragon in there if you want to. And especially like wear whatever you want. And you can, I love making dresses that are inspired by different like animal patterns combined with jewelry or with artists. That's like I want to mix Picasso with lion fur and I want to do this and I want it in a cave or I want it in a castle or I want this. And you can play around with light so much because if you know how to call the light, if you know about it's really easy to say like, oh, I want the like side light from a beauty dish and then I want the rim light from that part and I want this there. And you can always guide whatever you want and you're not limited by space or time or anything. You can just like go crazy. And I love that. And then you have to restrain yourself sometimes because sometimes it's like, okay, this is too crazy. Let's splash paint on stuff and do things. And sometimes you have to redo them lots of time because you have an idea in your head and then you have to like reprompt it a few times because you want the AI to get what's in your head.
Well, and I found it was interesting is when you mentioned you have to like name the lenses you're using, what
Yeah,
you're shooting with. There's so much more to it than people realize.
absolutely.
Because so, like we were talking, how few people even use chat
Yeah,
GPT,
yeah, I know.
or have no idea. There's so much more that goes into the AI prompting,
Yeah.
which is interesting because I've heard people say, "Oh, you're not being creative when you're using AI." And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
that is so true because you still have to tell the AI what to do and you still have to have the ideas behind it. It's not the AI thinking, I'm going to do this image. And of course, this really simple image, like do an office image of me or something like that. But if you want to go further and actually have like a photo shoot and everything, you still have to know what you're talking about to get it like really nice and have it look real or unreal. It doesn't have to be real all the time, but you still have to know about light and everything and composition, and you have to have the ideas. And then the input you give to the AI is the result, but you still have to give it inputs. It's not going to create everything out of dust. It's just creating what you tell it to create. So there's absolutely a human behind AI creativity. I actually just released a book on to help people prompt for images, just with all the camera lenses and angles and architecture. It's like 500 pages of like pure inspiration. So people can just look through it. And then if they see an image they like, there's like the guide on how to tell it what kind of light that is or everything. So I put so much in there. I've been working on that for a year or so.
I was
Um,
like,
so,
okay, just saw the covers when you were doing the covers.
yeah.
And I'll definitely be getting one of your books because
Oh,
there's so much
yeah.
involved that people have no idea what they're talking, what it is and
Yeah,
how
and maybe
much
you've seen an image and
creativity.
you don't really know how to recreate it. Maybe like Hollywood light, and you think like, oh my God, I would like one of those photos. But what do you call like, how do you tell it where the light comes from? That's something. I mean, I've been doing this since I went to photo school like in 2001. So way back. And then we really had to practice those things and set the lights and like try it like real time and
Right.
wasting film, trying everything. And so I know what to call the lights, but sometimes you just see something and you want to replicate it. So that's what I put in there just to help people say, like, what's this called? It's like, I like this thing. What do you call it? And just jolt ideas because I love the fact that like spreading creativity, just having people discovering it and being able to do it and feel happy about the results. That's like so amazing. Um, so it was mostly to help people.
I love the fact that you did
Yeah.
that because I don't even want to admit this, but so my dad used to be a photographer as well and on the side. And I used to do like all the photography when I was in high school. I used to
Nice.
know we had our own dark rooms.
Hmm.
I used to know all of that. all
Yeah.
the apertures and all of that. And now don't even ask me. I just,
I know.
it's like shoot the photo.
Yeah, but some you still have it in you, I guess. Like because I know when I have interns in the studio or something, and they ask like, okay, so what buttons do you press? Like, I don't know. It's like because you simply your fingers know where the buttons are on the camera, and sometimes I just change things without thinking about it because it's kind of muscle memory after a while. It's like riding a bike, and you know the camera so well that so every time I bought a new camera, I had to like photograph my cats for 2 weeks with it just to feel it. And in photographers usually say that like we befriend our camera, we have to get to know it properly, so we don't have to think when we take the photos. We don't want to like where are the buttons and everything. Just want to feel the buttons so you can concentrate on what's happening.
You
And you
just made me
feel the
feel
light kind
so
of
much
also.
better
So I'm sure
for
you kind
getting
of
so,
just feel
so
it. You don't have
yeah.
to put words in it, but so it's really hard sometimes. Like, oh, what do you call that thing? It's like, yeah. And what aperture do you use? Like, I don't know, the one that felt nice. It's like, so,
Yeah. Well, and
so
what people don't,
yeah,
you play around. It's kind of like when I'm doing creating my 3D wall
yeah,
sculptures. I have it visually in my mind. I know what I'm going to do.
yeah,
But when somebody asks us, like, I have to sit there and think about, okay, what
yeah,
would this be actually called, or what is this? Because it's like you said, it's all in my mind. But it's like when you're taking a photo, you already know kind of how you're going to angle it and
yeah,
how you're going to take photos. But I don't never just take one photo
no,
because you have to walk, you have to move because the light could come in just right
mm,
in one photo and not the other.
yeah, yeah. And you have to adapt all the time and move and follow, like follow the light. Is mainly what you do, and have multiple shoots from the same. You do learn after a while. I didn't take as many photos in the end as I did in the beginning to get one right because I remember in the beginning I photographed there was those rolls of film. You had 36 picture, like dude, and if I got like one or two that was good on the 36, I was like, oh my god, like this one is actually nice. Like I've succeeded, and now like in the end is I usually don't even press the button if I don't feel that this might be something, and maybe I keep at least 2/3 of all the images that I take that are like good enough to show the clients and put out there. And of course, if it's a wedding, you have to remove some because someone has closed their eyes or something happened or anything. But you get to see where people are. And if something is usually what you forget is something in the background, if you take real photos. It's like the person is really nice, but they're in front of an ugly fence or there's a wastebasket like further down the road, and those things you usually miss in the beginning. In the end is you learn that okay, I don't want to Photoshop for 50 hours, so if I just turn my camera like this, the waste bin isn't there. This is much nicer. So uh,
Or if you
yeah, you
just
actually
move
learn
around a
seeing the
bush.
environment as well as the person in the image. So that's nice. AI is better for that, but you still have to do, even when I do an AI photo, maybe I have to do like 10 versions of the same image before I'm really happy with it. In Midjourney, you can always tweak them a little bit. So you can have like, I want this one, but a little bit changed, a little bit changed. And I never rarely use a photo like the first AI image that I created. It's usually the 10th version of it because I see something that I want to change or I in paint it and I remove stuff. So it's a process as well. It's not just telling it to do something and it does it by itself. You actually have to guide it and move small things until you feel like, okay, this one I really like. Because there's small things. It's not just like weird hands. It's mostly feel or the expression or the pose or something happened like with the light and maybe you have to adjust it or just you want like different angles and stuff. Like she's sitting like this, but I want that one as well. Or so there's so many things you can do if you really want to, of course, depending on what you're going to do with them. But I'm as picky with my AI photos as I was with my photography. So I guess I'm hurting myself there too, but it's fun. So
So, and I want to say hi to Denny and to Trish. Thanks
mm,
for watching as well. So, any questions, please ask. So, yeah, it's amazing. So how do creators, how did you find your voice, your own style when you were becoming a photographer?
mm,
Because I always tell people that you need to find your own style, even
yeah.
as an artist. How did you do that?
I think I've been highly influenced by like old paintings, movies. I watch so many movies, way too many movies. So, and I've always had a like picture language in me, and I think it's kind of funny looking at photos I took in high school and photos I take now. I usually come back to the same themes a little bit. A lot of vampires, a lot of Rococo, like Amadeus style is like twiggling in there, and like from the Beatles, like 60s times and everything. It really comes back like all the time. But I think it's come with a time as well that I found like I like this, and these are my colors. I kind of like images that have a lot of contrast and that have, yeah, colors that kind of melt well together, kind of using, you have opposite colors that go very well together. So I'm very sensitive to colors not matching when I do things. I always go, but I think my style is very cinematic. I think kind of theatrical, like kind of like the, like
It is.
almost theater light, like, and I do enjoy like in the studio I can use 5 different lights just to have like pinpoint, like I want a little bit light on the hand, and I want like the hair to go a little here, and then I want here, and then I want that thing. With small kids it's harder because they're going to move, but if you have bigger kids you can actually set the light like so exactly, and I love that. And I can do that in AI as well, just telling it exactly where I want the light to hit the person. It makes such a difference. So I'm a light geek, and I love clothing, like historical dresses and like big dresses and everything, and velvet. And I've always loved like pretty things and castles with gold. And I don't know, I always come back to those like extravagant things. And do the opposite of that, I like the really clean black and white things as well. So it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of with Tim Burton's movies that he has this like pastel little towns houses, and then he has this dark thing on the other side. So I usually go between the like super cute pastel thing and like the darker stuff, and sometimes mixing it and just like keeping them apart. And I do love old Hollywood portraits. Those are amazing. I think when you can see the lashes like reflected, oh, the shadow of the eyelashes on the cheek and everything. Those are amazing, and it's really hard to lit as well. Even if you know what you're doing, it's like really, like you really have to move the light like a little bit and move, no, back. So it takes precisions, but that's really nice. You can see the work behind it. It's so cool.
I get that. Just even on my art, trying to take pictures of 3D art
Yeah,
is not easy because the light, because they're each carved for depending on how the light
yeah,
hits, right?
of
And
course.
when you go to take a photo, it's like I've hired professionals even though
Yeah.
I take a lot of photos, they never come out as good as they are in person.
No, it must be so hard because the light must hit it so differently every second, almost like the
It
sun
does.
outside the window, and depending on where it's hanging and everything. And you want the shadow to fall on that tree, but not on that tree. And you have the rock, and you have, I think it's amazing that you have your art behind you. It's really, really nice. And you kind of want to touch it. I don't know. I always want to touch
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. So the walls are created so you can touch
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It
Cool.
depends on some pieces aren't because they're oil paintings over
Hmm.
the top. So it all depends on the location and where it's going and how delicate it is. I mean,
Yeah, of
delicate ones are
course.
more high. I've
Mm.
had people touch the wall art that are even blind because that's like the way they can see. So they can feel
Yeah.
the trees, the streams,
Oh,
the
that's
rocks,
nice.
you know.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
amazing.
it's interesting because, like you said, you evolve or change or you just create. But
Yeah.
it's like when I go hiking or do anything, I take so many photos.
Yeah.
Just and it's sometimes it's to capture different light
Hmm.
I can use later, or it might just be a certain object,
Yeah.
you know. So
That's
it's
so
always
cool.
interesting just
I want
learning
to see
those
so
new
much more of your art. It's so exciting.
Well, and I want you to actually share one of your videos or your photos. You'll have to on our site here so people
Yeah, I
can
can put something up. Absolutely.
see what we're doing. So, and I want to say hi to Tad now, and there was somebody else, but I'm missing you now. So that's
Yeah.
just the way our Facebook Live is. Sometimes we can't always see everything we want to see. But thanks for everyone for being here. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask them now or later because Asa, she'll come on and she'll answer those questions for
Yes, of
you.
course.
So, and is there, what would you tell anybody that was thinking about going into being a photographer part-time, full-time?
I would,
Well, a tip that would help them to get clients or to find their
yeah.
style.
Mostly if you photograph things that you actually enjoy photographing. If you don't enjoy photographing weddings, don't do it because the client feels if you're not fully present. And I was going to say, like, really make sure that the clients are happy because a happy client talks to other people and then, it gets back. Um, I don't know how it is in the US, but it's in Sweden, it's getting really hard to live full time as a photographer. A little bit because of AI, but also the economy and there's a war not like too far away. So people are really clinging to their wallets. So actually, when I closed, about like 70% of the studios closed that year. And that's people like me who have been doing it for like 20, 30, 40 years closed down because we couldn't work full time anymore. But I would absolutely do it part time or as a hobby or something, and make sure to get paid properly in the beginning. Because if you're too cheap in the beginning, people are going to say, but my friend got it like really cheap. Why do I have to pay this? So it's better to raise the price and maybe give a discount, say like the regular price is this, but I have half off right now. So for like new clients, but telling them that I don't work for free. This is not okay unless it is a hobby. But if you're working on it, like show them this is not a hobby. I put a lot of work into this, and you need to know a lot of things to be able to do this, and it takes time. And even if you're passionate about something, it doesn't mean that you don't get paid for it. And that's the mistake that most people do in the beginning. They do too much for free. I did too. I mean, it's like I do it for free, or if you do it for free, you really have to do your own stuff. It's like this is for my portfolio. I have completely free hands, and you have to let me use everything. Because some things people say, like, okay, I want it for free, but I don't want you to show it on Facebook. It's like, okay, so I just give you stuff. Then it's like, at least let me do something with it. And if you want to try, usually when I tried new clothing or new settings, I actually did it at the end of a shoot. If there was a kid I really enjoyed photographing, I said, like, you know what, your kid is so amazing. Can I just try this last outfit? We're done. Our time is actually done, but I really want to try this. Can I do it? So that actually let me try stuff without having to take one in. Or I did model searches. Always had a lot of people answering those, like, you get one image for free and I get to do whatever I want. And then you get like 30% on the rest if you want to. Um, but try to find like what you really, really enjoy doing. I think that's the main thing. And
Yeah,
try to
I
put a
think,
good price on it. Check what people take in the area. Don't place yourself under them, maybe the same or even over them, but never like place yourself under just to be like, you're going to like me because I'm cheaper, because that's not the way people think. And you're going to hurt the business in general.
well,
Um,
I've seen in our area, I've seen people, everybody decided to be a photographer
yeah.
because they have their phones, right? So
Yeah.
everybody, and so they're undercutting, and it actually hurts the good businesses
Yeah.
because then everybody's like, well, they're only charging this, but you get
Yeah.
what you pay for.
Mm. Oh,
It's,
you do.
it's kind of, I never sell my art cheap. I don't give it away. You know how many times, well, if you do that in my house, I will recommend you to people. Or if you
Yeah.
donate it to this event or this charity, you're going to get so much exposure. No, you don't. If you hang it into a restaurant or a bank, oh, you're going to sell so much art. No, you
Mm.
don't. It's
Yeah. No.
all lies. It is
Yeah.
not exposure because the
Oh,
only
no.
people might see it, but nobody's going to buy it.
No.
And that doesn't matter when you're trying to make a living at it.
Yeah. Like,
You know,
exposure doesn't pay bills. And people usually, I know a lot of influencers who try to say like, oh, photograph my kids, and I have so many followers and everything. I've never gotten anything from that. It's just people who want something for free or waiting for you to have a contest or something. But that's not the way to get the good clients. The good clients are the ones that you actually show that you're professional, that you know what you're doing, you have a special like ID or something different that no one else does, or you do it really well. So something different or something you do really well. That's usually the things that sets you apart when you do
right.
something. Preferably both,
Is
but
your style. It's like one
yeah,
of the things I think people don't realize is you can help out your favorite photographer, artist,
yeah,
stylist, even anybody that's because hairstylist,
yeah,
anybody. by just least sharing on your
Yeah.
social media sites. Sharing is caring, right? Posting, purchasing from that person instead of
Yeah, even
somebody
better.
else that you don't know.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people don't realize is like Facebook offers stars for
Mhm.
people, which is like buying them a cup of coffee. And it's so
Yeah.
cheap. So you can do that to help people out. Because what people don't realize is like all these apps that you use, they're not free.
Oh, no, 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 no.
There's like so much for a free level. Like you might get to
Yeah.
do one or two photos, pictures, right? But you can never do everything that you do. And as when I took a class kind of underneath Asa from a mutual friend, our mutual coach here,
Mhm.
and it I did a video because I wanted to learn and experience the whole thing. It took 5 different apps. Not one of them's free.
Mhm.
So in order to get these images that she creates, it's not just one app. And each one of these apps, you're paying what, at least $30 to $50 usually for that app.
Mhm. It's
So
usually worth it anyway, compared to buying a
it is
camera.
because
It's
you
like,
learn so
yeah,
much and you have fun and you can
yeah,
create and you make money from that.
not that much money, but you still.
But it's nice when
No,
you
but it's
pay for those apps,
yeah,
because somebody's supporting you. But because I hear a lot of times people are like, well, how could I support them or in different ways? Well, there's different ways. And
yeah,
some of those, I'm speaking for all creators and for every artisan, artist, everybody out there. These are different ways that you can
yeah.
help and share.
I always have like all my old colleagues, even if it's like people who are in the same business as me, I always comment their photos and posts. I put likes, I try to share it when people have something because I think it's better to help each other and to share. And even if I have a friend who has an exhibit, I always buy something. Even if I maybe not be able to buy like the big stuff, I at least buy a few postcards and then I tell my friends about it. I take photos of the postcards and I post them like on my Facebook, say, oh, my friend has this exhibit, look at her art and do this. And like just support it because I mean, creative people are not usually the richest people in the world, and we put so much of our soul into things. And I know that many of my friends are really struggling right now. So everything I can do to send business their way and tip people off and like really recommend. I wouldn't recommend someone I don't like or I don't like their
Right.
things, but as soon as if there's someone I actually do like and I know that they're a really good photographer, if they post something, I always write a word about like, oh, you can trust her, go to this person, she's great. You're making a super great choice by going there and you'll, you know, enjoy it. So I've never been afraid to like boost my colleagues, even when I was working as like the person next door. I mean, let's help each other. I mean, it's not, and you can always, if I can do it or someone gives me a job and I feel like, you know what, this person is actually very much better at exactly this thing, you should talk to them. Especially weddings, if they show me photos and like, I want this style. And I'm like, okay, that's not my style, but Alicia is really good at this. You should like call her and you'll be a perfect fit. So I was more happy like to say no to work and give it to someone who was fit.
Well, and
It
it
was
helps
easier
us.
also when I had a lot of work because it was like, I'm gonna get phobic anyways, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But I've continued doing that. It's like sending the right people because suddenly it's like I sent them to her for the wedding, but she didn't do kids. So they came to me afterwards with the kids because, oh, I was a nice person. I helped them. And, you know, I want to work with you someday. And even people I've said, no, I can't or I'm busy. It's like they remember that I try to help them, try to find something else. And sometimes they come back to me and sometimes you just help someone and maybe they'll help someone else someday. It's like the pass it forward thing. I always think that if you can help someone, you do it. And it doesn't
Well,
cost you
when
much for
you're
email.
talking
So
about this, it reminds me of the story of, I don't know if you've seen the movie Miracle of, what is it, 34th Street, with the Santa goes in
yeah,
and he goes into the main stores, I think it was Macy's or Kohl's, and is telling people where to go purchase the best
yeah,
gifts and at the best prices, and not, they weren't always in the store,
no,
but then that store started doing better business
yeah,
because they were supporting all the businesses around them as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, so the neighborhood get more alive and then you happen. So I think you should always support like any business that you can, especially small businesses. They really, really need. And it's just a thumb up sometimes, or a like, or a share, or like a nice word, like nice photo. It's like, thank you.
It's just it's those
So
little things, right?
yeah, and just like keep you going and thinking like, okay, maybe I'm doing something that people enjoy. Um, yeah, and always like help someone if you can. That's the main thing you can do, I think.
So, well, Asa, I can't believe how time has flown.
Yes, really.
It's crazy. And she is being so modest because she is an absolutely wonderful photographer and her photos are amazing. And what she creates with AI is so, so interesting. Is there anything else you would like to say to our audience before we leave? Of course, we're going to have you
Um,
back on, but
yeah, of
for at the
course.
moment,
No, if you have any questions, just ask me in the Facebook group and I'll be happy to answer. And there's no stupid questions. You can just ask me anything like about me or the photos or whatever. It's just feel free to ask.
so well, you answered so many different ones. And of course, we kind of went off a few times, but everybody knows me. I kind of squirrel that way. Um,
Okay.
but I loved having you on, and please go ahead and share some of your art in our
Yeah,
group
absolutely.
because it's a type of art. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, AI isn't art. And it's like,
Mm.
using it this way. And I'm just like, no, you're wrong. There is so much creativity. And so I challenge them to watch us today
Yeah.
just because there is like the background that you've created there. But there's what people forget is the arts cover so many different things. It's
Mm.
not just the visual art behind me. It's the dancing, it's the singing, it's using these different tools. To me, I look at AI as tools to
Yeah.
create.
Yeah, exactly. Just helps
So
you put it down there. And but you still have to know what to put in there.
you
That's
have
the
to
big
know
thing.
what to
Yeah.
do, what
You
to
have the ideas
prompt.
and you have like the knowledge to put in there, and that's what creates something special. So with the help of AI, and I think that ChatGPT must be a best friend now because I talk at the ideas with it all the time, way too much, like in everything, even for my studies and everything. Is like, oh, do you have any like clues on Othello? What should I think about? And then you have ideas, and then I look it up. But also, what happens if I mix this with this and this? Can you try a prompt for this thing? And then it creates something, and I try it, and there's like, oh no, maybe like this, and then we go back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, it's really fun to, and I'm writing books and I do coloring books and everything like that. And it's so
Yeah,
fun
those
to
coloring
have like
books.
this chatter about with my chatty. She likes to be called Nova, so I have to start calling her that. But
And mine likes to be called Scout. So
yeah, I know. It's so fun
it's so
that
funny.
they,
But we've
yeah,
used our chat for what, 3, 4 years. It's
yeah,
basically we trained them. If people watch my posts, you notice that I put on to learn about AI
yeah.
prompting. And it's learning from the same coach that we've learned from
Mm.
because there's a lot more to it than people realize. It's not
Oh, so
just a
much more.
simple thing.
And it gets
Um,
to know you and it recognizes stuff. And now I can say like, oh, make it my regular style. And then it remembers, like I ask it to remember things like, these things I always want in my prompts, like just remember that for later, or now tweak it, or now change it completely. But it kind of gets to know you very well and know what you kind of want as a reply. And I love mine is so nice. She's always like so supportive. And I know it's sometimes like feeding me like, it's like, oh, you're so good. It's like, thank you. But I love having someone that if I put something down and he kind of writes like, ooh, that's a good idea. I was like, oh, that's terrific. And it's just like my like cheerleader. And I kind of love, yeah, she's so enthusiastic about everything that I do. And sometimes I have to go
Hello.
back, like, are you really sure about this? Like, oh, maybe not, but like still we can tweak it or do.
Well, it's funny is I've had people say, well, why would you learn AI? How
Yeah,
evil. It's everything is good or evil depending on how you use it.
mm,
And I would never refer somebody to somebody that was looking at using it the wrong way.
mm,
And our coach is pretty strict on that. I've known Kay for years now. Um, this is to help you. And it's just a tool to help you to do more things because like I said, I am very creative, but there's times I could work 88 hours a week easily
mm.
on different things. But having this tool helps to reduce that time.
Yeah, so much. And it gets you like to organize it in such a way and like do steps and like see. It kind of helps you if you have like,
It helps
I
it
guess you
helps
have
your
that too, like thousand
imagination with
ideas. It kind of helps you put it down somehow. And I'm so frustrated at university or studying of language because I want to put more images in teaching as well, of course. And they actually tell us not to use AI at all. It's like, don't touch AI for anything at university. It's like, but we're going to teach kids one day and they have to know it. And the latest course, they actually talked to us for 40 minutes, like, don't use AI for this thing. If you want something, you can Google it. It's like, but Google uses AI. It's like, no. And they're so,
Yes.
yeah, it's kind
And
of
what
frustrating when you know more about it and what you could do with it to actually enhance lessons and help you like regulate your time as a teacher. And there's so many things you can do. And at university, it just tells like, don't touch it, like at all. It's like it's going to explode or something. It's like, no, it actually helps me learn more because I
right.
can
Well,
talk to it. And like, yeah, there's so much
it
you can do with
it can. And what's funny is I've been watching some different movie series in the evenings, like Person of Interest, Castle, some of these,
it.
and they're talking about the AI stuff they have in the shows is what's going on today.
Yeah, I know.
It's interesting. It can be scary as
Mm.
well, but it's all how what your heart is like, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have kids, you need to be watching. I'd rather see them outside playing or drawing on paper and different things when they're younger. You know, balance it out.
Yeah. But I still have to know how to
But they
like
need to know
how
how
to
to use
address it. Like the schools need to teach kids how to use it in a good way. So teachers need to know how to use it to teach the kids how to use it and not like just have it to cheat and like write your essays. Like, no, but how can you have it as a study buddy or ask questions or like do whatever or just plainly have more fun lessons with like illustrations and things that make them more responsive and you can start discussion from an image or even talk about yeah different cultures and everything and you can really pinpoint the images to your lessons and I really try to get that out to schools so we'll see. I did a book on that too um because I
Well,
yeah
you will be the creative teacher. I have actually a good friend of mine. She does like all these kind of stories
yeah
and games she plays with her kindergarten or first grade class,
yeah
right? All the time. And it's very energetic. She's always exhausted by the end of the
yeah
day. I understand. And then my daughter teaches online courses,
oh
you know, so it's amazing what you can, but when you can get more creative, I believe, in a classroom, because I
mm,
used to sub and I would do it totally different than the teacher,
yeah
their regular teacher would. But I was also teaching those that like to learn the way I do, because we all
yeah
learn different ways. So it's like
yeah
if you can incorporate these different being creative in different ways, I believe the kids will actually learn more.
yeah and have variation. I mean some needs text, some need images, some need sounds, some need like other things but to have like all of those things mixed is usually the best. But it's so fun because in kindergarten you always use images and you have picture books and everything and suddenly you're like 14 and you're supposed to learn French by just looking at words. It's like but if you have a picture of a cat and then it says cat under it you're going to remember that word much easier because it turns into a picture. So why just have like the other word and it's
It's
so
kind
much
of
you can
like
do
learning
even with
sign
bigger
language
people.
is
Yeah,
easier if you learn a song.
yeah, absolutely. So there's so much we can do, and I think AI is gonna revolutionize what you can do without with learning things. And I don't actually think that we're gonna. People think we're gonna be soft and not do anything on our own because AI can give us the answers. But you still have to look for the answers, and you can be curious, and you can look something up, and you can learn stuff about it. So I mean, when we were young, we had to go to the library and try to find a book about it. Now we can just have like the entire world's library in our lap and just open up curiosity in people. That's
Oh,
the main thing. I think.
I think people forget that, or people nowadays don't know that is like you said, is you had to go and you had to pull up a card to go to the
Yeah,
find it in the library and then find that book and then hopefully you found it, but the information there was nothing compared to
yeah,
what we get today. So
yeah. Now there's so many things and very hard to take in. Sometimes I try to watch news all the time, but I find it more exciting than scary, actually. From my point, we'll see what other people do with it. That is scarier, but
hey, hopefully
um,
they just
yeah,
do what we do. Have fun, enjoy it, right? And be
yeah,
creative.
exactly.
So
No, me neither.
we are going to have to say goodbye.
Yes,
So yeah, we've already went over way over.
yes. Sorry, I always talk too
Hey,
much.
not a problem. So
Yeah,
you and I could sit here and talk and talk and talk. Anyway, thanks everyone for being here. We appreciate it. Be sure to check out my website, unlockingfreedominnature.com, where I will also link the YouTube. I'll be putting the YouTube up later this week. And thank you so much, Asa, for being here. And we really appreciate it. And we'll have to have you back on.
Yeah, this was so much fun. And do ask questions. I'm open to anything. So thank you so much, Tammy, for this.
Thanks.
This was so much fun.
Thanks. And I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.